Hello and welcome to the Universus Academy podcast. I am your host, Matt Childress, and with me is my assistant to the host, Mr. Chris Smith. Chris, how you doing, man?
And Mike, when you do this, are we really like fusion dancing, or am I like,
think I got
where am I at?
right. I know there's been a couple
Okay.
times where I got it right. I don't remember which one it was.
All right,
So I just kinda
whatever.
go with it.
So preface this by I have been back from vacation for 4 days, so work has been crappy but good.
Brutal.
But brutal, but whatever. And I played in an LQ the day after I got back. I hadn't played in like 2 weeks. Boy, I was rusty as hell. So I didn't touch cards. I didn't look at cards. The only thing I did while on vacation that had to do with cards is when everybody was sleeping, I'd pop my headphones in and watch Tam's top 8 videos against Barrett, which are actually pretty fun to watch because they have taken Bromley's decks and like these wild weird decks like stuff that he's made. Like there's a Elder Togoro deck where it's basically hulking Grimace, and you just use that sports festival card that says you can't reduce the damage, and you do that, swap it, and then it only plays 4 attacks, and that's all it does, and then it just kills you.
Combo,
Yeah, for the most part, it's
okay, sure.
But better because it's a 10 damage attack or whatever. But it's good. But otherwise, yeah, I just been kind of just lurking. Otherwise, but yeah, like I guess hitting Monday and seeing all this cool stuff. But anywho, before we get into that, how have you been, my friend? Because we haven't recorded in since before vacation, obviously.
Yeah. We're recording within like twice in a month, so that's kind of a big deal. But
New record.
Yeah. So I'm good, man. We're on summer break. Still just keeping busy. But it's good. I can't really complain.
Awesome.
I have not gotten to play cards, but I did get some girl power cards, and I built some decks and did some gold fishing, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Hey, by the way, did you get too more curious about quirks at all? Because I'm sorry, I was short.
I think I'm still one short, maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah. So.
Right.
We're good there, and I'm looking forward to. I want to try to get to play in some LQs. It's going to be difficult. Like there's some going on up in South Carolina this weekend. I don't know, probably won't be able to make them, but I hope to. We'll just kind of see. It's just life stuff, man. But yeah, so it's been a little eventful in the Universus sphere. I don't know if you guys know or not, but there's a new set coming out called Attack on Titan. And they've started dropping information about it.
Correct.
But before we talk about Attack on Titan information, because I gotta do the little tease, right? Gotta do the build.
Yeah.
This is all exciting stuff.
See, this is where we'd cut to commercial break. So yeah.
We got a bigger, more gigantic release this week, which is Godzilla.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Let's see what I did with the adjectives, right?
In typical UVS Games fashion, we preview stuff before the stuff that we were talking about is out.
Yeah.
Because
Reasons.
we're in constant hype mode for the entire year.
Yeah. Well, when you're releasing like a product a month, that is pretty constant.
We have had 1 month, I believe, without a product release. And that was April. And that was it.
Before we talk about guys, I think it is worth stating. I think we've said it before. Like, it's kind of a breakneck pace right now, and I'm not sure if that was intended or if it was just kind of a side effect of when timing worked out. It is a little overwhelming, and I've heard that throughout the community. And I hope that UVS Games hears that as well. Like, you could probably just release one challenger along with a set, kind of do it like DLC instead of like these 2 in between sets or whatever else we've had going on, and be totally fine. I don't know if it has to do, it might do business stuff, right? It could just be, we need these additional incomes, these items sell, we need to get these items out there. That could be it. And that's fine. Because to be fair, like the Godzilla Challenger decks look awesome, like, card wise. And, that's great. I don't know, man. Like it's expensive. It adds up quick, right?
It is. It's not getting any cheaper, to be honest. Because to preview, we all know that Attack on Titan's 297 cards, 303 if you include the SRs, because there's 6. They've said there's 6 SRs. So that's a lot of money spent into a set.
Huge set.
And like we had Girl Power, which was even bigger than the set beforehand, which was even bigger than the set before that, and these sets just keep getting bigger and bigger, and they're getting spaced out closer and closer. That's not like how back in my day when we had 3 sets a year and we had some promos instead of DLC or anything like that. You know,
back in my day, we went 2 years without any product, and we were happy about it. We weren't happy.
We weren't happy.
No one was happy about that.
But nobody was. It happened actually twice, but
I was gonna say, the first time we didn't know if the game was ever coming back. I was on a mailing list with this dude I didn't even know because he said, "Hey, I'm considering buying this if enough people reply to this email." And I was like, "I will reply. Please buy this." And he did. He did.
Yeah,
that's all true, factual information.
But yeah, like I don't know, like I would love to see 3 sets a year. 2 challenger series a year. Release starter decks with your sets, man. I don't care. I don't know what the adverse is to what the aversion is to having starter decks. Or sorry, excuse me, clash decks. Yeah, but decks. They're starter decks, whatever. Yeah. Because isn't that like the logical first step? Like after, like we've improved the demo experience, correct? Right. So let's improve the starter deck experience. Let's have some of those vanilla to French vanilla cards to go back to. Yes. Oh no, I know.
So and they are doing that with that.
And it's cards from the base set booster packs. So it's does it feel great? Which is fine because you don't actually, unless you really want the characters, you don't have to buy the clash decks at all. So because the characters are specific to the there's versions of those, you know, there's whatever we don't know for sure.
Versions of those characters that have presumably different abilities than the set version of them. So you do kind of have to buy one of each. You just might not need to buy 2 of each, right? And like,
correct.
I'm just going to point out we've been here before. Like we used to have starter decks are just random piles of cards from the set, and then you'd get like your character, and then they're attacking like their foundation. So you get like 5 or 6 cards, and then and like. Yep. Those were back in like Sabretooth days and
it happened as late as Warriors of the Night. The Felicia and Talbane card had cards from the set plus like 6 or 7
like those
maybe.
Were mostly preformed, like it was like half and half or something. But either way,
it was half and half. Yeah,
like we've been here before. They don't feel great to buy. They intentionally changed it to make it so that you got a pre-built deck that would be playable.
Yeah,
and like it just seems like an odd choice because your challenger decks are exactly what we just described. So now, like, is this like, are you going to price these at a point where it's like cheaper than buying that many boosters to get the same number of cards? See what I'm saying? So like, are you going to price your starter deck at like $9 and you only get the full character and then just random cards from the set, but it's like the equivalent of like 4 packs worth of stuff. So they're like, oh, I'm just gonna keep buying starters. Or
I wonder if it's like there are pre-built decks, but
because like made cards from the set.
They're all from the set, so it's like all this symbol or that symbol or whatever, or maybe because we're going into the attunement land series.
What if there's only maybe there's like a couple options for each starter and it's random which one you get. So maybe you get the fire and maybe you get the air one. Ooh.
I don't know. It's whatever, man. So we'll see when they come out. But,
I don't know.
But we
don't have that kind of knowledge, guys.
No, we don't. But like it's just there's like the starter deck should be the next step after the demo experience, and then the challenger deck should be another rung on the ladder, is what the kids at the summit said. Like, there's the different rungs on the ladder, right? There's the demo, the starter, the challenger, then the boosters box is like the graduation or whatever of your play.
I would think that product progression would go demo, buy starter deck. Hey, I've got a deck now I can play. Buy booster packs, start modifying it. Hey, you know what? I kind of want to get more competitive. Buy the clash decks. These are pre-built competitive decks. Now I can kind of test my starter deck against this clash deck that's already see what I'm saying? Like, because at that point,
I would say it's the opposite, because getting random cards out of a pack is harder to build the deck with than getting a deck that's already made for you.
Sure, I just would think of it from a competitive mindset. Like if I'm buying a starter deck, I want to buy booster packs to then immediately modify it. Right?
But
I want to buy another whole deck to then try to mix and mash them.
I'm speaking of the inverse of the new player coming off the street who's just like, hey man, I want to play this at my locals, so it's easier for me to buy these pre-made decks to play locally, and then once I'm more comfortable with getting singles and doing all that stuff, so
learn to evaluate cards better and that sort of stuff. And
correct,
and that's that's a great point that neither of us is right or wrong there, and both perspectives are totally valid. And I think that's really important, community. Hold on, I want to say that one more time.
Can we high five each other?
Yeah,
real
we can
quick?
high five each
Because
other.
we're awesome.
Is that, again, it's not a matter of right and wrong sometimes. It's just a matter of we have different opinions, and we need to respect and view other people's opinions. Now, that's a two-way street. I have to acknowledge Chris's opinion as being valid, just as he has to acknowledge mine as being valid.
I mean,
when that street breaks down...
Matt's usually right, though, so it's fine.
I mean, maybe sometimes, but not always.
Not always.
I've been super wrong. Look, you can talk to Ryan about my hot take on Siegfried going into the FFG meta when they first dropped Siegfried. He was like this anti-meta character. Like everything about him screamed it. And I was like, buying all the singles. Let's go. I'm going to build this deck. And it was trash.
Trash.
It was borderline unplayable. I think I saw Keenan play it successfully one time. That's Keenan. So, it's unplayable for everyone else.
Speaking of Keenan, we want to congratulate him and Ashley on pulling a 100 or 100 Mirko Chrome. Woo!
And he won a local qualifier not too long ago as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I think he did it with Vax, right? He played his Vax deck. I think it was Vax, right?
Might have been.
Yeah. Might have been his water Vax deck. Woo, Vax.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just want to point that out because later we're going to get into some opinions and some thoughts that Chris and I have about some things. And we're not saying that we're right. We're not saying that you're wrong if you think differently. And I just want to get that really clear because I do think one larger issue that I've heard consistently amongst multiple outlets in the community is that people aren't doing that. They aren't respecting that other people have opinions and thoughts on things, and that's when things can get kind of toxic and kind of negative. And
I'm definitely guilty of that, so I apologize.
And while you can't end it, like the internet fosters it, right? And even further, echo chambers and groupthink and other things like that kind of foster it as well. And when you have people like us who come out there and we just want to share our opinions anyway, like that facilitates and informs other people to impact their thoughts one way or another, for better or for worse, and I'm not saying that like I think that I'm important. I assure you I'm not. But, with that being said, it's not something we're going to fix overnight, but I would present the challenge to everyone to try to be more open to what others are saying, whether you agree with them or not. You don't have to attack them, right? You can disagree with someone and you can be very clear that you disagree with them and still respect that person. So that's what I'm going to try to do.
I also need to do that because I see myself as someone who's like, yeah, sure, I like change, but I don't like it being shoved down my throat. So it's like, it's like when you have individuals or groups or like, I am usually the person who's like, I don't like a bunch of yes men in a group. If you have a team that just say yes, that's cool, there's something wrong with that. You need to have someone who is the dissenting voice of opinion, even if you agree with them, because you need to look at it from a different view.
Right.
And sometimes it does get heated and emotions run high because we don't want this game to die. I'm not saying it's going to die. We don't want to say it's going to get ruined. We just want to change is hard either way. Like in real life, change sucks. No one likes change, so unless you're actively doing it for yourself, nobody likes change.
Well, so, I'm going to share with you something that one of my previous supervisors shared with me, and it's nothing that no one's probably, you guys have all heard this before, but it always really stuck with me, which is his whole thing was he's like, don't come to me complaining about something and talking about a problem unless you also have a solution to that problem. So meaning don't just sit here and look at things and complain about them and just complain and don't try to fix them. Come up with a way that you want to try to fix those things as well. So
man, we're really turning into a PSA video right now, aren't we?
We are. So with all that out of the way, let's dive into exactly what we're talking about, which is our controversial opinions. No, it's not actually probably controversial.
Are we going to talk
our thoughts about it? What?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the article first, right? Before we get into the stuff that was kind of shared, that wasn't supposed to be shared, but it was shared because your boy was the fastest snapshotter of all time. I did miss one though. I missed one. So, but Ben got me on that one. We love you, Ben. Good looking
out. All right. Yeah. So, they're introducing a new mechanic to the game. Not a new keyword, a new mechanic.
As of like 3 minutes ago, we found out about a couple more as of recording, but I don't know if we're going to go into those or not.
Might be new keywords or something as well. They sent out an email, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. But let's talk about the article. So, this is from the UVS game staff, and it's talking about Attuned. And it says, today we're thrilled to introduce the upcoming game mechanic that will bring a fresh challenge to deck building and a new way to represent symbol identity in Universus, Attuned. So I'm going to TLDR this, which is attuned symbols are only going to be, there'll be one attuned symbol on a card as far as we know, and as far as what we've seen so far. And the visual difference is they are squares instead of circles.
Fun fact, everyone thought there was 2 symbols, and the death symbol was going to get crazy.
I want to take a moment to talk about that. So when we look at these cards, the set symbol is basically the death symbol, just a little bit scarier. And it is very jarring.
And it's funny. It's kind of funny, actually. It's like, why does this card have double? Why did this one card have double death? I don't get it. What's the point?
And like it's one of those things, like when you do the double take, you realize, oh, that's a set symbol, and then you feel kind of dumb. Points to himself.
I mean, I did the same thing too. I was like, this is weird, but then I realized someone told me it was a set symbol, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So anyway, so they're square instead of circles, so that's visually how you'll tell the difference.
Quick thing. I like the square better than the circle.
So all right. Can we just have squares on the bottom of the cards instead of circles? I wasn't gonna say it, but like legitimately.
Nah, man. I mean, the squares look the squares look really good. Like you can see the symbol better. The colors pop better. Granted, that all symbols still should have a red background, but that's just me. Something that just differentiates it, but they look really good. The squares look really good.
They do.
So
they look
can we change it? I know that they just put out this article, but can we change it?
I would say anything's possible given how many things are changing.
Or attuned is just a keyword, and then you just have the square symbol at the top in your line your keywords like in Godzilla are back in the middle of the bar, and back in the middle, and this nice.
Oh, man, my eyes are going crazy at this point, dude. Like there's just so
I know.
much shit.
Yep. It's like a chameleon.
Let's talk about what it does, Chris. Let's talk about what it does. All right.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's go for it.
So attuned cards, as far as we know, have the one symbol. It's at the bottom, and if it's a square, it's attuned, and that means that if your character has that symbol, you can run that card in your deck, regardless of what you actually built the deck off of. So let's give a for instance. Your character has
go for it.
Is Kendo, and they have all, order, water.
Correct.
You build an all deck. You can play.
Hey, does that mean
you can play attuned water
order cards?
Order cards. Yep.
Can I run them both?
Yeah.
Or do I have to choose? I can choose. Nope. I can choose.
Yeah, you can run both. Yeah, because your character has that attuned symbol.
That's very weird.
Yeah, and it's gonna make symbol chaining interesting.
Well, technically, we don't have symbol chaining in standard because we don't have it.
Your deck had to match the one symbol throughout the entire deck, which they're now throwing out the window.
Correct.
So
correct.
So if you're an old or semi-old head, this will seem pretty familiar because this basically harkens back to off-symboling.
Off-symboling.
So, like, for those of you who don't know, what used to happen is you just had to have one consistent symbol through your character, through every card in your card pool when you played the card. So,
correct.
If your character, say, had, again, let's use Kendo as an example, had all and order, and the first card she played was one of her cards that had all 3 in common with her, then your second card in your card pool might just have order, but it's an action that removes. So you could play that, and you off-symbol that one order card because all the rest of the cards in your deck are all cards. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, that was an option before. That went away with MHA, streamlined the deck building process, and kind of also just the amount of game knowledge you needed to have to be able to build and play against decks, because you could kind of eliminate, like, oh, I don't have to worry about these cards anymore, because Revoke was one of the biggest offenders of this, right? Like
that's what I was going to bring up.
Revoke was a counter spell that literally negates an enhance from hand, a 0 diff, and it removed itself. So if you
don't forget, it also built itself.
2 or 3 in there.
It also built itself on first form. Yeah,
that was a little more risky though, because like the rest of your build might not work out. So anyway,
correct. Yeah, correct.
But point being, attuned is similar to that. It's like a way to build it in as a mechanic, except for you get to double off symbol potentially if your character has 3 symbols. Now it's also worth stating we don't know how many symbols characters are going to have.
Yeah.
The demo deck characters only have 2. I
Yeah. So
personally
basically,
think it's reasonable to conclude that all the characters in Attack on Titan are going to have 2. I think that's reasonable to conclude, given what we've seen so far. Could be totally wrong. They might have 5. Who knows?
So really, you're looking at really only. So let's say I think Aaron has air and fire. So if we're building our deck off of one of those symbols, we're only really using one symbol's worth of cards to attune to. I should say attunement cards.
Right.
You
You're
know?
only like if you're building a fire build, your attune symbol then is air. If you build the air build of him, your attune symbol is fire.
Fire. So
here's well, what are your thoughts on it first, and then I'll share mine. How about that?
Okay. So I like the idea, like, because I used to off symbol stuff in the old game, back in the old days. But I don't know. I think it lends itself, like, it's cool that we're getting things like this, but going back to the mental load aspect of everything and how they're trying to make it easier for everyone to get into the game, this just seems like it adds a level of complexity that they didn't really need to add in the first place.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that. Their counter argument is that it's only a complexity during deck building, which is not
deck
true.
building.
It's not true because when I sit down across from you now, I have to be like, okay, are you running the fire or the air build?
Yeah,
I'm
running both, sir.
Because you can run both. My fear with this, and just want to clearly state, I like the idea of this mechanically. Like,
Same.
I liked off-symbling. It was cool. It was fun. It was, like, flavorful. And it kind of sometimes, like, gave you some cool
It was a risk. It was a huge risk-reward thing because if you got
gave you good tech.
Yeah, but like if you got counterplayed against it, like someone hand cannon some off symbol card that you ran a 1x of, and you couldn't play cards anymore. Right. You couldn't do anything, and you just got obliterated. So like there was a giant risk to running these cards. In this instance,
because of the
like
rules
in
of
all,
the rules
now
of the
like
game are a little different. They might hand wave some stuff to make sure that this functions correctly.
But
risk aside, I think conceptually, this could be cool. My concern is that what's going to happen is it's going to dilute deck building, not advance it. Meaning, what happens is that some cards will just be a staple. All right? This is the best air card. It clears something and gives damage to the next thing. Why would I not run this something? And therefore, any character who has air, slot 4 in. You don't not. Why would you not run it?
That's only if it's an attuned card, obviously.
Correct.
Right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, but even with it just being attuned cards, like if there's, I don't know, let's say 20 attuned cards for each symbol or something, right? There's not. But let's just say there were.
Just say there are.
Then if 3 to 4 of them become staples, like that's not a large percentage of them. But let's say they did, like they're just like, this card is just good. It's literally, it just draws 2 cards for free, right?
It's Shikiyami Barai out the back.
It's Mop Strikes Enhance, but on a void attuned card, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guess what? That's gonna get staple level play competitively, and like that waters down deck construction. Like right now, our game, there's not enough people playing it for it to get to the point where a lot of other card games get, where you get a list refined, like 90% refined, right? Where it's like you run these 90% cards, and then 10% is where you actually have expression for your own play style or for your own tech choices and things like that. Like that's how Magic works. That's how
our game kind of can do that if someone sits on a character forever, right? Like they just refine the build over and over and over.
Right? Is not rampant. Like for example, I dipped my toes into the Dragon Ball Fusion World online client when it came out. That meta got distilled within like 2 weeks. And gotcha. Because there were so many people playing it and sharing information online. Our game is still small, so therefore it's never gotten to that point. Like it'll get to a point where it's like, hey, this is kind of like the top tier characters. Like these characters are all very competitive. These are a little less competitive, but what the list looks like whether it's 60 cards, whether it's 63 or 4 cards, whether you're running 4x of this attack or 2 of this attack, like that sort of, I guess, precision never has been achieved in our game.
Okay.
And especially even if it is, like to your point, one person sitting on a character, like I've sat on Bakugo 4 for the better part of a year now, right? I'm still modifying that list. And there's some things that I think are just clearly good calls that you need to include. But when I talk to other people about their list, it's very different, you know?
Yeah.
So what I'm
Yeah,
getting
I
at
get
is
you.
that
Kind of like
this,
me and Toga 3. So yeah, I get you.
so like
Yeah.
this dilutes that experience, because what will happen is we would all then just agree like, oh, well, you got to run these 20 cards because they're just the best cards off that symbol. And now that the symbol doesn't really constrain you, you just run those 20 cards.
Yeah.
So now
yeah.
the other 40 cards.
If you have that attuned symbol, obviously.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. So like that's my fear with this. Is like the cards go one of two ways. Either they're going to be incredibly strong and staple level, and every deck just runs them, and you just know, oh, I sat down from an air deck. I guess I'm going to have to play against that card that clears one and gives +2 damage to the next one or whatever. Or they're not good and they're not competitive and they don't matter at all.
They don't matter at all. Yeah, there's no in between, right? There will never be an in between.
I don't think there's any in between. Yeah. I think for casual play, world's wide open. But you know, like I want to provide that perspective on both, right? So like again, conceptually, I love the idea of off-symbling. I love the concept here.
I think it's just more like execution is what we're worried about.
Implementation is what I'm concerned about as well.
Yeah.
And what I would have liked to see are like cards that have like a mix of symbols. So like, what if you had like 3 symbols, but one of them was a square and was a tune symbol? So like, you can always play this in an air deck with an air character, I should say, regardless. But if it's an order or an earth card, and like, I don't conceptually know, I'm not gonna sit down and act like I've done all the math to see how that impacts deck building and all that stuff. I'm just saying, in general,
if you could, you'd be a genius because you've only seen like 80 cards,
right?
You know,
but like in general. That's what I thought they were saying initially, and then I realized they all just had one symbol, and it was just the attuned symbol. And what we've heard as the reasoning here is that it's supposed to help capture symbol identity. So I want to take a moment to speak to that.
Yeah.
I've played this game literally since launch. Symbol identity is a fun term to launch around. It is very fluid, and it is very not concrete, and it is super subjective.
Remember when they came out with the symbol identity articles when MHA was coming out, and it's like that was out the window within 2 months.
Yeah,
you know, like
so I'll rewind it way back.
It's a nice guideline, but it's not a rule. You know,
I love the concept of symbol identity.
Sure, me too.
I'll go so far as when I've dabbled in my fan sets. I think you should actually associate different types of cost and effects with symbol identity.
Sure,
that way,
I get it.
Like death destroys stuff, earth flips stuff, like that sort of thing, right?
Life gains life.
Yeah, but as a cost, not just as a effect.
Sure.
And then I think you get into some neat middle ground stuff. That's also way harder to do and may not even be worth it, to be honest. Like, it's just, just me telling you what, for me, symbol identity thoughts are. Like, I would take it even further than I normally do, is what I'm illustrating. But, they did a tournament series called the Symbols of Power or whatever back in the day. Foundations of Power, and then they did Assets of Power, and they did Attacks of Power. Yeah. Okay, and what they were is they were one symbol cards that
rip the order symbol.
They were supposed to represent what that symbol's identity was, and the idea was it was one symbol. So like if you built an order deck, you could include that Law and Order Foundation that did stuff. If you played Void, you could include that Emptiness Foundation that did stuff. But you couldn't do it if you played an all deck or the order deck or whatever. So point being, this isn't a new concept. And what the symbols do has varied over the years. Like, what symbols really are is they're just a way to categorize things. General concepts and mechanics, cost and effects, what kind of things you want them to have access to. It's never been clearly defined like, oh, if you have a all deck, it has to draw cards. Like that was the general original launch, right? All was the draw cards. Void was the discard cards, you know? So I don't fully think that this is going to be necessary to establish symbol identity. I guess what I mean. Like, I don't think the symbols currently are in such a desolate wasteland of like, what does that one do? I think people generally know like, hey, this chaos symbol tends to do stuff with momentum.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, wouldn't it have been better to say that attuned cards just flesh out archetypes on those symbols? Would that be easier?
Yeah, I mean, like
that'd be a better way instead of symbol identity. Like, hey, these are decks that these are archetypes in the game that these symbols mesh well with. You could put them in other decks. They just do random effects, but like if you follow this archetype, like was it the one that if it hits damage you gain health? It's cool. You can put it in a nutrition type style deck where you just gain a bunch of health and you throw people to death or whatever, you know?
Right. I mean, so like, and this is a completely off topic tangent, but like there's other ways also to achieve symbol identity. Something that I personally have, again, fan set wise, always wanted to see them do is something more like the old Dragon Ball Z score game where you have masteries. Where
baby, Tokawazos, baby, we know.
Where you
you're welcome.
Choose a symbol, you get additional benefits for committing to just that one, and that was back before MHA, like when you could dual symbol. Because I was like, how do you prevent this from being like broken? Like, how do you give people who mono symbol an edge? Oh, you add masteries, and if you add masteries, or call it whatever you want, then you can add something like the all one. Maybe it says all your attacks gain. If this tech deals damage, draw a card, discard a card. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be anything game breaking. It could be something.
It was only like those masteries were only like once per turn effects, anyways. For the most part,
yeah,
I would say the good ones.
The black mastery sure did add damage and
damage. Actually, it was just +2/+2 if you're a black style. If it was any other style, it was a 1/1.
Yeah,
that card was amazing.
Yeah, it affected all of them. So, but you see what I'm getting at? Like, you could have things like the Earth one could do stuff like where it interacts with you building things, or the good one interacts with you building things, right? Because those
or block mods or whatever, you know,
it can do all sorts of cool stuff. Like, and it's a floating constant effect that rewards you for that, and it defines your symbol's identity then.
Yeah,
and guess
mastery would be kind of sick.
Guess how many cards it just took from your design space? 13.
Yep.
And that's assuming you want to do an infinity one, which why would you? But I don't know, whatever.
No,
maybe
people
could play like some infinity only deck or something. I don't know. Like
that would be wild.
But maybe it's an option then, and like all your infinity only cards get juiced through the roof because you're playing these cards that otherwise don't do anything well together.
They all ignore progressive difficulty. Busted.
Yeah, right. Something. So I don't know. That's a side tangent. I didn't think we were going to end up talking about that, but here we are. So
anytime we can interject Dragon Ball Z score into any conversation, I'm down. Like, that was my first card game.
Yeah. I love that card game. It was not my first one, but it was one of the first ones I tried to get competitive at. And
same, dude.
Game, but man, it has so many like pitfalls and shortcomings.
It was super bad, but it was a lot of fun to play though. Yeah. I met a lot of lifelong friends I still have today from it, which is great. Which is gravy.
So, any other thoughts on Attuned you want to share before we move on to the
I mean, like, we've only seen X amount of cards. I want to see the rest of the set before we put a stamp on it. But as of right now, it's fine.
Yeah, cautious optimism is what I would say about it.
Correct. My bar is set like mid to low.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and look at the other cards before we talk about the new, or do you want to talk about the?
I don't care. Like I said in Discord multiple times a day, I'm just a face along for the ride, my friend. You're the lead, Captain.
Let's jump into the cards then, because I think that's what the people are really here for.
I mean, sure, unless we get jailed by UVS games.
Full disclosure, I was unaware that there was any problems with these cards. Just for the record, they're on our Facebook page right now if you want to see them. Because I thought I was just doing a community service and resharing them.
Because I did the community solid and I screenshotted them.
Yeah, UVS games, if it's a problem, let me know. We'll get it squared. Don't worry about it. But in the meantime, it's going to live forever in this YouTube. So
YouTube, live forever. We're on the internet.
So
it must be true.
I can't. Levi's, what is this? Overhead Strike is the.
Okay. So I have to find them now because I don't think I have them in the same order as you're going to say them. Okay, I found it. Yes, I found it. Yes.
So this is Era tuned in, and guys, you can see in the bottom left corner that is not the circle death symbol. It is the set symbol. Don't get it
spun. I have something I want to say real quick.
Sure, go for it.
By the numbering on the cards, I think we have all one symbol cards in the entire set.
How come?
If you look at the numbers, they don't like line up. Like there's a life fountain. Well, let's see. That's life.
All right,
fire.
Well, 29 for those of you.
Go ahead. Number 29. But like you have other cards that are.
And it's air.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong,
early
but
in your...
continue. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, with
Because all the
that,
life cards are like in the same vein, so I could be completely wrong. So yeah,
I don't
whatever.
know.
Whatever.
So it's a 5 low 5. It's a 5 diff 3 check. It's got a +2 low block. It says it's a weapon.
It has weapon.
Yeah,
Toga loves this card.
It
She can't
says,
play it.
if your rival has lost health this turn, this attack gets -1 difficulty, so it's a 4 diff for 5 low 5. Seems pretty all right.
That's sick.
And its response after this attack deals damage, clear one other attack from your card pool. Yeah.
This card's great.
Yeah.
Like, as an uncommon, this card is, I mean, like, it's on a 5 if you hit someone with something beforehand, and then you get to clear the card that just hit them.
Yeah, Vax runs this card all day, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. He can either main it off of air, or he can go death and just splash this card right in.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
Yeah, so and for the record, I imagine the hand wave that they'll do is just when you go to play the card, it just checks to see if you have a symbol in common with the card. How they'll
I don't even think it's a hand wave. I think it's just gonna be part of the attuned mechanic when they actually get into the nitty gritty and the rules.
Mechanics. Yeah, could be.
Yeah,
So this card seems generically strong, right?
Correct.
Probably, if you're playing Attack on Titan Spotlight of some sort, this card's probably a Snap 4X.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I also like how we have text that says it's on fire over Levi's over the card title. Yeah. If you have, it's like, it's on fire, baby. This card's hot. Get it right now off the presses.
the spot on Twitch chat.
Yeah, we love the Twitch chat.
So next I got Horse Toss as a 6 difficulty, 0 speed mid, 9 damage throw, and it says Titan. So is that a trait? Is that a keyword?
That is a trait because it's not colored.
Okay.
It's not filled in, so traits aren't filled in. Keyword abilities and stuff like that are filled in. Correct.
It's got a +2 mid block, and it's off of life attuned.
So I got something to cut. What if Titan means your character has to have the Titan keyword to play it?
That would be an ability at that point.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Yeah, so obviously it's Beast Titan picking up a horse and chucking it at
unless they're treating it like when it was character only abilities back in the day, and those weren't a ability themselves. It was just like only Ryu from Street Fighter. It would say Ryu and Correct, and only Ryu could actually use that ability.
Yeah.
Maybe
so only Titans
can play this card.
And I don't know. I may be reading into it. I may be reading into it too much.
It just seems odd that it has Titan on it, I guess is what I'm getting at, right? Like,
if it doesn't, I mean, it has a Titan on it, so that could be also why,
It could also be every card in the set then almost, like
true.
So I kind of nothing this card, I'll be honest. Like, it's a 6 diff 9 damage throw. Woo!
The issue is it has 0 speed, and it's going to be the easiest face shield or omni block ever.
Well, even in again, let's assume we're just playing Attack on Titan cards. Like, it gets blocked all day. Yeah, maybe it's a guaranteed 5 damage, but like unless there's this crazy like throw kit that just makes this worthwhile, like when your throw deals damage, blah blah blah. But like as you'll see, there's already anti-throw stuff printed in the 18 cards that we're gonna look at or whatever. Like, I just don't think this card ever is gonna see any actual play.
Yeah, I agree.
Next, you got Fight for Survival.
Mm-hmm.
You got it up?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, sure. It's a 5 difficulty 3 check +3 low block. Breaker 1 Fury 4 low for 5. We like Breaker 1. We like Fury. Response: after this attack deals damage, it does not count towards progressive difficulty this turn. I kind of wish there was a 4 diff, but it doesn't count towards progressive after it hits. If it hits, so it doesn't really matter. So it's basically like Crone Frog, but not Crone Frog.
Yeah,
because it has to hit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has to hit. So but I like Breaker on more cards because I love Breaker as a mechanic. So it's life attuned, by the way.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I think this card's fine. Like, it'll probably find a home in some decks because it says you have to block this, and you have to completely block this, or
I mean. I could see Life Overhaul playing this,
Mm-hmm.
like for free on a 5, and then it doesn't count towards progressive if it hits for 7 damage if it hits them, and then he just gets to play whatever else he feels like playing afterwards. So
Yeah, or he just
maybe.
builds it down and then plays it as a low block breaker 1 at some time. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Next, you got Makeshift Maneuver.
I gotta find this.
So
Sorry.
it's a 2 difficulty
Go for
attack,
it.
which
Oh yeah.
probably not the best idea, but here we are.
Yeah.
It's a 0 high for 3. It's a 3 check and +2 high block, and it's a fury attack. And it says response remove. After this card is discarded during the combat phase, your next attack this turn gets -1 difficulty, and it's fire attuned. This is a rare, by the way.
That's weird. I mean, I don't. To be fair, I think the only reason why it's a rare is because it's a 2-diff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this card is not good at all. Because discarding means it has to come from your hand, so you
Right.
can't mill this off the top of your deck with like Endeavor and get a free -1 difficulty. So you're sacrificing a card in your hand.
Yeah, like this card plays nice
You
with
get
things like latent
-1.
skill, right? Like
Yeah,
you
that's
pitch
true.
it because you're fishing for something else.
Yeah.
But like that still doesn't feel great.
Mm-mm.
And like the cool thing about it is you can throw it like at the end of a chain when you shouldn't be able to pass an attack. Like John used to do this to me back in the day all the time.
Yeah.
Where he would just throw like there was a 2-diff Cammy attack that was like a 1 mid for 3, right? And it like made you discard some cards or whatever. And he'd play it as like his 6th attack. And you're like, okay, play it on like a 5 or a 6, and you're like, cool. And then he's like, it does 8. And you're like, I lose. Like,
Yeah.
because I've already blocked 4 things. So
Yeah, true.
that's where these kind of cards shine, and characters who can put out really long chains. I would say to be determined. Like nothing immediately screams
Yeah.
crazy, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I don't know. I do not love the art on it. Like them hiding out in a rib cage is kind of whatever.
Well, I mean, that's when he protects them though. Like before, like that's that part where he transforms and changes into that when he protects Mikasa and Armin, right? Like when they're gonna, and then I mean, I've never read the manga. I've only seen the show. So that's what happens when they're going to be like fired upon, and he transforms to protect them.
All right.
Or something like that.
So since we're talking about the art, and I'm going to click to the next card, and I'll let you go ahead and pull it up. But it says, "This is my chance." All right, and I'll let you take them through. This is my chance. It's a foundation.
Oh yeah.
But so this art is, as you just alluded to, it's the manga panels, right? And they got them colored, and the coloring looks good. I will say that it looks good.
Yeah, the coloring's fine.
My problem is there is so much wasted space on these cards. Like you intentionally altered the templating for the cards to maximize your artistic space, and now you are using pre-framed, pre-bordered images.
Like if the dead space was like blue to match the blue in the background, like it's just like it bled over in the background, I think that would be a lot better. It would look a lot nicer to the eye, I guess, you know. But yeah, it seems like we have some wasted space, you know. So maybe they look better in person.
Maybe.
You know, maybe it's foiled or whatever, but
Maybe.
you know,
I
because
also
this is
don't
a rare.
love
So
the rest of like the font choices and the templating and all. I think it thematically fits, so like I'm not
Yeah.
knocking that. I just don't love that theme, if that makes sense. You know, like it's not my preference art wise. Doesn't mean it's not appropriate. But what's this card do, Chris?
Oh yeah, it's a 1/4 +3 low block. It is a rare. Enhance, flip. If this is the only attack in your card pool, it gets +2 speed. If it's completely blocked, you may clear it from your card pool. What? Mirko 2 support in an Attack on Titan card? Gasp! It has air. It's air attuned and it's a rare actually. I Articide, which is I think it goes without saying. I wish they would have done something with the dead space in the art, you know. But like art is subjective. I think the manga panels look fine. It's just I would love to have had maybe alt arts are completely filled in. Yeah. Maybe if we have alt arts or XRs, maybe it's completely filled in or whatever. Yeah. But card, by the way, is amazing. This card's nuts because it says, well, you're gonna if it's the only attack, which is usually decks around this theme are able to get rid of cards out of their card pool. like, you get to clear it from, you're going to eat damage, or you're going to block it, and I get to play another one. And then maybe I get to use another one of these, So I actually think this is a snap. This is a snap 2 to 3 in most decks that can play it. So
yeah, I mean, like it's a 1/4 with a block, but
yeah, I mean it doesn't that block don't matter.
Yeah, it's also a flip. So like you got to pick your moment. But I agree. Like if you build like 3 or 4 of these, and like to your point, you're playing Miracle 2 or whatever, you're just like, good luck, man.
Yeah, Godspeed, Spider-Man.
So yeah, I think this will definitely find a home.
This one, this
all the formats. I got Chomp next.
Chomp. Go for it.
Is our first action we're looking at. It's a 3/4 Breaker 2 +2 mid block. It says
Breaker 2
form, destroy 1 rival foundation with difficulty 2 or less. After this card leaves your card pool, remove it. It looks like it's
death
rare
attuned.
also.
It's rare and death attuned.
Yes, death attuned.
Yeah,
I mean, like it does death stuff, right? It's just going to destroy a foundation.
I do like that it's targeted destruction. I do like that because I do miss playing decks that just target destroy things sometimes, But I think the bigger thing is, okay, so this is something I wanted to allude into when we were talking about attunement. I think this is where attune cards are going to shine, are actions and assets, because in the old days, that's what we did. We spliced in these cool actions that would make our decks better, or these assets that we could either cheat in, or we can just build it, bring it in or build it really quickly or whatever. But I think this is where Attune's going to shine, is with the assets and actions the most. Attacks and foundations probably, whatever, but you'll get your skill expression and your flavor from the actions and assets, I believe.
So here's something that I think they should clean up, and that's the use of the word form. So form has forever and always meant 2 things in this game.
Yeah, true.
Anytime you play a card from your hand, you are playing a form during your turn.
Yeah.
Or it's also an ability type. It should be one or the other, not both. And I say that because it just gets confusing. Like there was one time years ago where I was trying to explain that to someone who was learning the game, and literally I just watched them like, "What are you talking about, dude?" Like, whew. And part of it was my explanation, but what I'm getting at is like, for all the things we're cleaning up, can we just like maybe modify form abilities to not be form abilities, or maybe just use a different term for when we play a card from hand to the card pool? Just tossing that one out there, guys. Tossing it out there.
Could be.
Next we got pilfered provisions.
Oh, it's the Sasha card.
Yes.
It's Sasha. Yeah. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen the show or the manga. But that's the Sasha card.
You don't want me to make my comment.
No, I know you don't like it. I know you don't like it.
None of these characters matter.
I know. I mean, for the most part, there's only 3 or 4 characters that actually matter. The rest of them don't matter. Yeah. I would say 4. I would say 4.
Who's the
Levi matters. Levi matters. He does. Towards the end, he matters, man. He matters. Trust me, he matters. So, in my opinion, remember, it's a 2-way street, friends.
I'll tell you this: Levi's the coolest character in the show, and that he matters.
He also has the best voice actor, which is Matt Mercer. So that is fair. Sure. So yes,
and he's definitely the coolest character.
He is the Vegeta of the entire show. Yes, he is. He's short. And he's badass. Yeah. So yes.
Yeah, he's pretty cool, but
he's very
cool. By Matt's standards, that's also a real low bar to get over for this anime. So.
Oh, I know you're not like again.
Like we have the main character's terrible. Both the supporting characters are okay. The rest of the supporting cast, some of them are pretty cool, but they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, and that's what's upsetting. So
yeah, it is upsetting.
The card. Provisions.
Go for it.
Okay. Yep. It's a 1/5. It has a +2 high block. It is life attuned, and it says response: after you discard this card during the combat phase, gain a health and look at the top card of your deck. Sure. If I have a discard outlet, especially on my character's face, seems like an auto include. I just gain a health and I get to peek.
Like, I wish this said. Not. I wish it didn't say discard. I wish it would said when it hit your discard pile. Because discard means it has to come from your hand, so you're giving something away for a health and a peak, I guess, right? Like,
but it kind of comes into like if you're paying a cost, it's making it so your cost is gain a health, look at the top card, get +3 damage or something, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, but it just seems like a really heavy cost just to peek and get a health back. So
Yeah, I look at it as it's just a bonus because I don't want to discard other cards. I don't feel bad discarding this card.
Oh, true.
It's kind of like playing someone like Kendo where you want to commit things. I don't feel bad committing my tenacious cards as opposed to committing my non-tenacious cards. See what I'm saying? Like I get something.
Yeah, you must be playing. You must be having a Kendo deck or something.
Oh, I've got two different lists, dude.
Oh, okay, there you go. So that's Matt's on the
fun.
Kendo train. Yeah, Trent beat the shit out of me with that character, the LQ man. So yeah.
I had a hiccup. Hold on. We're catching back up.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Are we good? Yeah, Trent. Did you hear what I said? So
Trent,
yeah.
Wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, I didn't say it that nicely, but yes, he definitely wiped the floor with me. Yeah, it was a good one. Anywho, what's next?
Hands.
Yeah, oh, dude, they were giant hands. I was like, oh, a hand size is still good. Oh, All Might, I miss you.
Vertical maneuvering equipment, the asset is what I got next.
Oh, the asset that has infinity and it's not attuned because it can go into every deck.
Yeah, that is true.
What's going on?
The audio keeps cutting in and out. I don't know if it might be my connection or something. I don't know.
Is it me?
I don't know. Oh, it's your audio, but that doesn't mean that it's you necessarily. Go ahead, move forward with the.
All right,
you're back now.
Yeah, it's weird because it's an infinity it's not attuned. It's just an infinity card, right? So it just goes. It's a 2/5 +1 mid. Spend 1 momentum. This attack gets +3 or -3 speed. You may change its zone, and then enhance. Commit, that's the new commit symbol. This attack gets +2 damage. If it deals damage to a backup, ready this asset. We have no idea what backup means, people. We don't.
No one does. I want to get that out.
No one does.
Some people are like, it's a planeswalker. We don't know that. We have no clue. I think it's going to be like allies from the old Dragon Ball Z scorecard game. I should bring it back up again, where I just get to play buddy blocks, and then I can put them into play, and they do other things, and they're like some weird modified version of a foundation or an asset somewhere in between. They're not really sure which way they want to be, but that's fine. I mean, apparently they can jump in front of things and take hits for me. I don't know.
That's cool.
I'm down. Them. Or maybe it's like the versus card game where we're going to have like a character, our main character up front, and we're going to have other characters behind them, and those are the backup characters, like physically actually backup. Sort of like Pokemon versus card game where you place things matters. I don't know, dude.
Like, are you talking like that's like Weiss too, because Weiss has a back row too with supporting actors, and stuff like that. Okay. And I played it. It's really big at the game shop, so I've watched people play it. So,
so besides not knowing what the hell the second ability actually means or does,
this card is crazy.
Yeah, the first enhance is bananas.
It's nuts, dude. Like it just says, Mirio, you don't exist anymore as long as I have momentum.
Yeah, or Mirio, you get another zone change at 3 speed.
3 speed.
Yeah. Did you Phantom Threat before playing the second attack? Good job. You did it. Pat on the back, buddy boy. Let's go.
Yeah. This
nice.
this is definitely like, which is really weird is someone said that this card is going to ruin the game because
this was a good idea.
Yeah, no, like it's going to be a race to whoever has the most momentum once they get this card out, right?
Yes.
Because
yeah. So it's gonna be like I spend mine. Okay, I spend mine. Put it back. Like
exactly. Yeah.
Also, I do not like the new commit symbol. I know that you're a fan of it.
I'm a fan. Like I said, I'm a fan of the symbol. I'm not a fan of the color because if you look at it, it bleeds into the background on the asset really easily.
They should have done something like orange or something. Black.
No, I would
work too. Silhouette. Yeah.
Black would have been fine.
Yeah,
a black silhouette would have been fine. It worked in the OG Versus system. It works in a couple other card games where it's just a black silhouette. It's or heck, you could have done like a blue and orange thing.
That's what
where
it's
like
the set.
Where it's like it's the card game colors. Just do a blue and orange back, and you can boop,
Yeah. I think this card is either going to be, like we said, like mandatory in every deck. You run at least 1x of it, or it's going to be like largely irrelevant. If that makes sense, because you just assume everyone's running it, so you just don't run it because it doesn't matter. Yeah. And then that one person going to show up to an event, they're like, "Gotcha, pow, pow, pow." It's like sweep an event,
Like, it's definitely it's going to be easy to get, right? Because it's an uncommon, so it's going to be very common for the most part in a 297 card set, but. It's going to be one in every deck. Like, there's no reason not to run it, unless you think that everyone's going to be running it, or maybe there's enough. Yeah, unless it's too slow or there's enough momentum hate in the
Right.
game
Right.
at this point, which there is a fair amount where your momentum doesn't matter, you know.
Yeah, like that's the trade off here. Like, for as strong as those abilities are, it might just be too slow. Like, there have been times, I'm not saying my own personal asset, but there have been times where there have been good assets and they were just too slow for the format, and they don't see play because of it outside of niche decks.
Oh
But
wow.
it's true.
Wow.
But,
Yeah, it is. Yep, it is.
But that being said, like, this card is slow because not only do you have to build it turn 1, you then have to attack turn 2, and then turn 3 you get to start using it. So
Yeah.
like, that is
Unless
a
you have
slow
snap
card.
and
There are
unless you are
exceptions. In some decks, they'll get momentum instantly, sure, but that's the exception, not the norm, right? Which is why
I'm
we're
like
talking about it may not
yeah,
be a mandatory immediate
correct.
include,
Yeah.
because your
Like
deck just might not be able to really capitalize on it.
Toga 3, Amajiki, Mirio. Top 3 right there. Those guys are all yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's real good in All for One too, because he just gets a free momentum, and then
Yeah, he gets free momentum.
Then you can just
Yep.
block your thing, and yeah, that's that.
Yeah, you don't even care about the other ability for the most part. If
Yeah.
backups, whatever backups are, or even
Whatever.
may even matter, like
Yeah.
that +3 or -3 is huge for a
Yeah.
momentum spend on
It's
a.
a
That's
reusable.
crazy. Oh, excuse me, and change its zone and a zone change. Okay, you know.
Looks like a perfect block with Showdown every time. Eat it, low decks.
I'm like, oh, holding that low block, I'm gonna give +3 speed to walk the dog and make it a high. Good luck.
Yeah,
You know?
did it. So same old friends and rations, and do you got it up, or do you want me to talk about it real quick?
What are you looking for? What card? What card?
Same old field rations. Sorry, not friends and rations.
Friends and rations. Friends and rations.
I looked
is
at the
Jacob
image while reading the
Masur's
name. I was
podcast.
ruined.
It's Jacob Masur's new podcast, Friends and Rations.
Friends and
so.
rations. Yeah. So John and I have long had an understanding since we became friends way back in the day, like literally back in the day, that it's food before friends. So that's not even a question. It's rations before friends. You know?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's a foundation. Obviously, it's a 3/5 +2 mid block. Response once per turn. Tenacious. We love tenacious abilities. After you gain health, ready this foundation. If your rival has 10 or more foundations, ready one foundation, life attunement. So, yeah, this card's awesome. For a 3-diff, we love 3-diff that do this stuff. It readies 2 cards. Late game, it readies 2. You can ready 2 cards.
It forces them to play this weird game of where, like, okay, not only do I have to not build to 11 now to go into deadlock, I have to not build to 10, or he gets to ready 2 things.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
That's
you know what?
nuts.
This card isn't unique.
You know what's fun is this and carbo loading because you can just ready a million foundations at once. I don't have to. I mean, and then I'm gonna play. 100% Smash and ready everything again.
Doesn't count towards progressive. I get to play all my cards every turn.
Yep.
Hey guys, we just gave you the first deck idea for any life character with life symbol.
There you go.
You're welcome.
Yep. Well, to quote Matt, that one was free.
Yeah, the first one's free, right?
First one's free, baby.
So next we got open wide. And we kind of.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
By the way, that was a common. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to try to make sure we try to make through all these. And,
Yep.
So it's a 4 difficulty, 4 high for 3, 3 check, +1 high block, a credible high block. It's a charge attack. It's got life affinity. It says response. After this attack deals damage, gain health equal to the damage dealt. Okay. Sure does look like it says I gain 3 health minimum.
Or more. Yeah, we love this card. This card's great.
We do live in a world where there's a fair amount of DR, but it's not been super significant so far.
Correct.
So, like, where are we to think it's going to suddenly be more significant right now for what we know about Attack on Titan? So
yeah, yep.
That card is
crazy.
Also terrifying, but you know that's.
Oh, I mean that's a
fuel.
line. It's nightmare fuel. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Trying to reach Aaron.
Trying to reach Aaron. Boop, 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 boop. Going faster. There it is, right there. 2/4 +3 low block. First form. Look at the top card of your deck. We like that. Enhance. Commit. Name a card type. Reveal the card type. Top card of your deck. If it matches the name type, you add it to your hand. Order affinity. So it's good. I like knowing what I'm going to check on my first attack.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Nambo though, right? Like your first form, you get to peak, so you know what you're checking, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But then, like if
Yeah.
you're playing that attack, now you commit this thing to not
Oh
know what it
yeah,
is to
that's
try to
true.
guess to see if you draw a card.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of like an homage to a card called Hunt for Jin back in the day. It was a one diff that did the same thing. You'd commit it, you name a card type, you reveal it. If it was the right one, you get to pick it up.
Mhm.
And that's cool. Like that's a good ability. I'm not gonna act like that's not a good ability. It doesn't really excite me, but I'm sure it'll
Yeah,
see
it's
some
neat.
play.
I
Yeah,
think
it'll see some
I
play.
think you'll see some spicy 1x 2x's in some decks. I think
It's
it's
a
not
four
gonna
check.
snap.
That's what's really hurting.
It's
It's
a
a four
four.
check.
Yeah, it's a 4 check. If it was a 5 check, it'd be in every deck.
Yeah. So now we have the Attack Titan emerges, which is
Ooh,
a
baby.
3 diff attack with a 3 check, 2 low doing 3, +1 low block, charge and slam, response, sacrifice 1 foundation. That's the cost. And it says,
Mhm.
after you play this card, build 1 foundation from your discard pile with difficulty less than the sacrifice card's difficulty. Okay.
Oh,
So,
that's too bad.
so
I wish it said equal to or less than.
Right. And it's death attunement. So
Mhm.
it is worth pointing out that we technically do not know what sacrifice does yet. We can
Correct.
kind of draw some conclusions, and Chris and I were talking about it earlier. It seems like sacrifice is a new term for when you destroy your own things.
Yeah.
To me, it's just a blatant ripoff of magic, but whatever.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I not a huge fan of it in general. Just the term, like you
Yeah.
could have done something
I get
better
it.
and more creative, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I think this card's it lets you refresh a card, right? So like
Yeah.
you can use a commit ability, then you can destroy it, and then you build it. Oh, it's less than sacrifice cards. Okay, so you got to build
Less
in
than.
something else,
Yeah.
so it doesn't refresh cards.
Yeah.
Never mind. How
Yeah.
do you?
Nah, I'm not a fan of it. Mostly because like you're probably trying to destroy like a 1 or like a 0 that's been committed to get a better foundation, but you can't get less than a 0. So,
Right. Get a face
I
down.
mean, I mean, exactly. But like, you
Yeah.
can't destroy face downs with this
Yeah.
either because face downs don't have costs. So,
Right. They have
it-
difficulties.
I don't know. Yeah, I get the best thing about this card. It's a 3 diff.
Mhm.
That has charge. That has charge on it. By the way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it has a relevant keyword on it.
Next we got last second dodge.
Oh, okay, this card is great.
Yeah, this is the one I was talking about. This is kind of some throw hate, right?
Yeah, last second dodge. Okay, so I want to say I actually like the art on this card. One, because there's very minimal black space, so I think the art, the way it's set up, is very cool. It's a 2/5 +2 mid. Enhanced flip. This attack gets -2 speed and loses throw. Fire affinity. This is in every sideboard possible
Forever.
that can run it forever.
Well, like
Forever.
that horse throw earlier, right? How do you feel
Yep.
about a -2 speed throw that's not a throw? It's just a -2 speed attack that they get to block for free.
Get wrecked, nerd.
Yeah, on a 2/5. Like,
Yep.
yeah, this card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This card's going to be the fun fact is that your opponent may be on a death deck, but their character also has fire, so they could side these in and then bring them in against a throw deck. So you have no idea if you're even going to face this. Like if the character has fire, you have to assume this is in their deck somewhere.
Right. All right. Next we got Death Rattle. It's a 2/5 +2
Yep.
high block response for free. After one of your backups is destroyed, your rival loses 1 health. I just want to pause here and point out that free responses have always been something to keep an eye on and something concern worthy. Again, we don't know what backups are, but clearly they can be destroyed now.
This can also kill your rival.
Yes, it can. Does not say minimum 1. And that
Correct.
says Deadlock Form commit, destroy 1 non-unique rival foundation, death affinity. So it looks like they're leaning real hard into death having targeted destruction or just destruction in general. Okay, I have very strong thoughts and opinions on this for another time about targeted destruction versus self-selected destruction and things like that. But in moderation, it could be okay.
Yeah.
Having this much destruction. If you have too much of it, it just becomes kind of an MP to play. But
My deck tomorrow for locals is nothing but unadulterated destruction with Wolfwood and Twisting Azure Inferno and stuff. So yes, I'm trying to pile in all the destruction stuff into one deck and see if it actually works.
Right.
So, yep.
So next we got Seething Anger.
This card is
Action.
cool. I like this. Actually, I kind of like this card. It's a zero. It's a 0/5 +1 mid block. Really good stats. Very good stats. This card does not count towards progressive difficulty to play attacks. Form mill 2, draw a card.
So
This card.
here's my
Card's
thing.
wild.
Why does it say mill 2 as it's not part of the cost? Like I feel like that should be part of the cost. It's part of the ability though.
Oh, I wonder if that's an
typo?
accidental typo. Yeah, because mill 2 seems like a cost, right?
It does, but it's not. So like if this card gets negated, you don't mill the cards. And I'm right there with you. Like I think this card's fine.
Yeah.
It's weird that it's a form and not an enhance.
Yeah.
But that kind of will lead into an overall observation I have about these cards here that we'll talk about as we finish going over them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sounds good.
So next we have meeting Hanji, and she's a 3/5 foundation with a +2 mid block, life attunement, and it says enhance flip, discard 2 cards and draw 2 cards. Then if you discard a backup or a Titan card this way, draw a card. So this is just 3 diff latent skill. You know, like we saw the other life card that said if it was discarded, you get to peek and then you get to heal. So, you know, like this is clearly leaning into that mechanic. It's something they want life to do, to draw more cards, know what's going on at the top, and to gain life. So yeah, I mean, I don't.
You get a bonus card too if you discard a certain card type,
right,
or a backup or a Titan.
Yeah, so
card,
like if you discard that throw, it had Titan on it.
Yeah.
So I assume that works. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like this card in a limited format is probably pretty good. It's probably something that you want to do.
It also has flavor text. It's
Yeah.
the only card I think that has flavor text in all the cards we've seen.
So far could be.
Yeah, I mean, just out of the 18 the 18 or so we've seen. So
Yeah. And next we got painful experiment.
yeah.
So another 6 difficulty attack.
Do I? Oh, I have that one. Yeah. 6 diff, 3 check, 2 low block, powerful 2, 5 low for 6. It's a huge bomb. Response: after this attack deals damage, choose 1 backup or shift attack. New type in your discard pile with difficulty X or less, which is we got X or less here. Why couldn't we have that on the foundation? And add it or the act or whatever, and add it
to your hand.
To your hand. X equals the damage dealt. It's kind of cool. I like recursion. I mean, like you have to play this 6 difficulty attack to get an attack back. It has to hit first. So maybe this is, and it's life attuned. So maybe this is where those 2 and 3 damage attacks kind of come in. Like they half block it. They take 2 or 3. You get to snap one of those back to your hand. But I don't think they were a backup.
You just run like the low attack that also counts.
No, it has to be a backup or a shift attack.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those aren't backups or shift attacks.
Right,
so,
but I'm saying like you can run 1 backup or shift attack, right, and run 4 of it.
Correct.
Just to plan on getting this in there. And even further, with life, you can filter cards from your hand, so you just filter it out. So then this makes it so that's not actually like a cost. You know, like
Correct.
There's interactions there. That's fine. I don't think this is a snap include, but I do think that it's a bomb. You know.
Yeah.
So then I think the last one we got is Waylay.
Yeah, that one I don't have because that's the one I missed.
Diff, 3 check, 4 low for 4. Order attunement with a +1 low block, Fury ranged, and it says response. After you play this card, your rival removes the cards in their momentum face down, then return those cards to their momentum at the end of the combat phase.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so this card is kind of nuts because you play it. It's after you play the attack, you get rid of all their momentum. And, you tell them, hope you weren't planning on doing anything with that momentum, Mirio.
Also, it screws Amajiki out of all of his face-ups.
Yep.
Because it puts him back in face down. So, yes.
Like, this card is going to, again, probably be some really good sideboard tech. And in a more confined, spotlight kind of environment, probably something that you just run.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that gets us through... all the cards.
All 18.
So the thing that I want to pause for a moment and point out, and I won't ramble for too long because we are getting a little bit lengthy here, is that all of these attacks have responses on them. None of them have enhances outside of keyword.
Yep, keyword abilities are the only
abilities,
thing.
right.
Yeah.
So
So maybe this is the direction we're going, where it's just easier to do responses. I have no idea, but whatever. It's just
so foundations have enhances,
correct.
assets have enhances, actions. I
Have
think there was maybe one that had an enhanced. Some were forms.
or
So, yeah, I
forms. I
think they
think
were mostly
they were
forms.
both. They were actually
Are they?
both forms. Yeah.
So like it's going to just kind of dilute the interaction over the course of a turn back and forth between players. Some people will be like, well, I don't consider me saying pass much interaction. Sure, that happens. I would say that's more of the deck you chose to play versus a reflection of the game. You know, like there are decks that plan on doing things on their rivals' attacks a lot, reducing speed, changing zones, reducing damage, whatever it might be. So that's kind of a throwaway, a cop-out kind of excuse in my opinion. Like learning to sequence your enhances is a key skill to this game, right? There's a lot of times where you see a match determined because someone used the wrong enhance at the wrong time or something, and it changes the outcome of that turn, right? It doesn't determine that the game immediately ends, but it could be very impactful and like, oh, well, they didn't use that here, you know, their invincible body here. That means that they're going to eat this one, and you kind of make reads off of your opponent based off of what they are or aren't telling you, based off of what they are or aren't using. That's a really cool element of our game, and my current fear from what we've seen so far is that that element of the game is largely going away.
Okay.
Because most of the enhances that we did see on Foundations were flips. So you're only going to have to account for those things one time. And then you're like, okay, cool. So the game will reach a critical mass point where everything's face down. All of my attacks do response speed. So why don't we just make everything flashes?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I know that's that's an extreme example. I don't actually think that's legitimate. Like it's a rhetorical question. Like it shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I just don't love that. Like I feel like missing an enhance is a little more forgiving than missing a response, because at least the enhance, like if they immediately pass, then sure, you missed it and it's gone.
Oh yeah.
You get a chance to do that thing again. And it may not be as optimal, but at least you got to do it. Whereas,
correct.
Which is the whole point is I'm playing cards because I want to do the things that the cards say.
Yeah, there's more player. Would you say there's like more player agency with like enhances than there are?
I think it's more decision making, like in timing. And things like that. And I think the timing is just more forgiving with enhances as opposed to
I agree.
Where responses like if you miss the window that says after you play this card, well, it's too little, too late, man. You know?
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, at a competitive level, yes, but locals level, it may not matter as much.
Probably
right?
matter as much. And at a competitive level, a lot of people are pretty generous with it. You know, like very few people are like, if they know you played your instant shining flash and you meant to discard the momentum, more times than not, they're like not going to rush you through that response opportunity, right? Like, like what I do is I ask my opponent, like, do you have any responses to play? Because I may have a response to play. And I give them that opportunity.
I mean,
if they pass, then I'm going to be like, oh, pass, too little, too late. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gave you
that. Well, no. Yeah, that's exact. You know, like, I'm not going to coach my opponent on how to beat me, right? So, like that's the issue. I'm like, I have, like, when I play a card, I'm like, I have no responses. Do you have responses? And that's like, usually it's like if someone tries to rush through the response step when they play an attack, I go, I have a response first. Yada, 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 you know, because I think it just depends on how good the player is in a way, or like how fast. You know, it's a skill. It's just the way it is, right?
And it is a reflection of your understanding of the game and your mastery of the game.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that that's the only level of mastery. I'm not saying that that's a skill that has to be in the game, but it is.
Ooh, there's that word again, mastery.
Yeah, I know, right? So real quickly before we jump out of here, we did just get an email from UBS Games, we being any retailer email thing going out or whatever, and it says that they're introducing a new mechanic called Blitz. They're discussing character rarities, so presumably characters are going to be new rarities, common, uncommon, ultra rare, that sort of stuff. We've done that in the past. It sucks. So hopefully that's not necessarily what's coming back. And then finally it says introducing the ruin mechanic. So no backups on there, but definitely some other things we had not heard about yet. So who knows? I'm not going to speculate what those things are personally, but just wanted to kind of share those things with you to know, like, hey, be on the lookout. By the time this goes live, some of those things may already be answered, and you may be like, what are those idiots talking about? Why didn't they just tell us? But that's why.
Because this thing was filmed in the past. Yeah. That's why.
Because of the way time works. But yeah, man, I got to get out of here. That's the truth.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. I mean, overall, I think we'll be okay. We'll just wait and see what happens.
Yeah, guys. I mean, like, I have apprehensions. I'm not gonna lie to you about it. If you're in any of the discords that I participate in, you're probably very aware of that. But I don't think that anything's predetermined. But we'll have to wait and see, right? So
Correct.
buckle up. We on it. We're along for the ride, and we will
Head
talk to
on,
you guys next
strap
time.
in.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's get ready. Let's get ready.
And do all the algorithm things. We haven't said that yet. So do all those things.
Alexa,
like, subscribe,
hit those buttons.
whatever. You
Say
got.
the stuff. Comments.
We
Tell us
love
what you
We
think
appreciate
about
it.
all this stuff. Bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
Guys. Take care.